Hello, it's Jean with Kept in Stitches. Welcome to Tip Demo Wednesday with Stitches. Oh, but where is Stitches? I'm sorry. She decided to take the day off or the afternoon off, whatever you want to call it, and she is inside taking a nap. So she won't be with us today, but hopefully we'll see her next week with her tips for all the fur babies in the sewing rooms out there. And what do I have for you today? Today I am going to show you a little tip, short kind of a demonstration on how to make a variation of the Tumbler Quilt, which this is a regular Tumbler Quilt. I'm going to hold it up a little farther so you can see the majority of it. But this is made with a tumbler template. And I just happen to have purchased, and a couple times, and let me get this correct, the Fabric Strips Scrap Pack of 100% cotton fabric by the pound, and it is from My Fabric Addiction 1. She has an Etsy shop, and it has awesome fabrics on it. Not only will you find her scrap strips by the pound, but she also has yardage, she has charm packs, she has layer cakes, jelly rolls, all sorts of things. So you are really going to want to check out My Fabric Addiction 1 on Etsy, and I will be leaving a link for that in the description box below. So check her out. But the strips come in a packet like this, and they are not all the same width, and they aren't all always even. They are like the cut ends when they're cutting, other fabrics. But the majority of them that you will find in here are at least, most of them are close to 2 inches or a little over. Some are narrower, but it is a great deal if you are looking to add to your stash and scrap collection. And when you take them out, you will find there's two stacks in there, which I have gone through and taken some of these out already. But just to give you an idea, kind of flip through this a little, and you can see that they are all nice 100% cotton strips in varying shades, and you will see the majority of these are nice wide 2.5 inch, close to that, strips. But this is just half of them that are in that packet, because we have all of these that were also in there. And here is one that you will find, oops, right here is one that is narrower, and you will see it's not always an even cut. But what I am doing with those as a variation and a really quick tip for those of you that quilt for charity, how to make a really fun, quick charity quilt using these strips from Fabric Addiction 1. And the first thing that you will do in making that is, of course, you need to have the tumbler template, which mine happened to come from Missouri Star Quilt Company. There are other places that you can get that from, but that is where mine is from. And it is made for using on the 5-inch squares. But you don't have to have 5-inch squares to use this. What I am doing is I made, and this is the part of the one that is left over, I just started making strip sets, sewing them together from the strips that are in the strip pack. You can do it randomly. You can go through and kind of sort out what you like together, make it totally scrappy, or make it kind of coordinated, which I have done on this one. I took out some of the red and black, red and white, and making one that will be out of that. But you just take and you will square up so that the edges on your strips are even. So you will have just a little, try and find one here. I think that's what's left over from after trimming the other down to 5. But you will have, you know, a little bit of strips left over and just slivers really where you're squaring them up. But that is what I have done with these strips. And then they are sewn together just like you would any strip set. And what I did so that I will get more variety in my quilt is I cut the strips in half before piecing them together so I can get more combinations out of the fabrics and the strips that I am using. So that is the first step that you will do in making this scrappy strip tumbler charity quilt. And after you have those pieced together into your strip set, you will cut them into 5-inch squares. And you can cut them all at once. You can cut just a random and start sewing them however you want to do. But you will cut them into 5-inch squares. And from that 5-inch square, you will just be laying your tumbler on top of that template. And you will be cutting out your tumbler from your strip set. And if you want some variety, you can turn it the other way, so you have some going horizontal and you have some going vertical. And of course they will, which I think would look better on this side if these two are going together, but there will be a lot more strip sets cut, that there will be a lot of variety to put together in this quilt. And I want to say, when you are cutting those into your 5-inch squares, be sure and save the pieces that you trim off. This is from one of the other strip sets that I'm going to show you, because there are many other things that you will be able to use those in. So don't throw them away. Keep them. Lots of tips in this short little how to make a quick charity charm quilt out of the Fabric Addiction strip pack. So this is some of the strips that I chose. You can see how they're different, varying. And what I did on the wider ones, so that I would have varying widths in my strips, I just went ahead and cut them, you know, in half, or cut, you know, various widths from within the strips themselves. And then again, you make your strip set. And this is the subcut 5-inch squares from that, to where you could just use them like this, put together, you know, variation of a rail fence quilt, or use them in between your tumblers if you want. But there are tumblers that came from those. You can see all the possibilities and all the varieties that you will be able to get. You can, like I said, make it totally scrappy, make it themed by sorting through your scrap fabric pack and choosing the strips that you want to go in there. But you are going to need the equivalent of 80 charm squares for this quilt. It is set 8 across by 8 down. Let me show you another example here. This one doesn't have the borders on it yet, which I don't have on with the strips sewn up yet. If you want to see more of this process and how it is done and what it is going to look like, join me for my live stitch tips and chat on Friday. That is every Friday from 11 Eastern time until 1 o'clock, depending on however long it takes. But this Friday, I will be working on one of the strippy charm square scrappy charm quilts using the Fabric Addiction strips. So you can see more of that and how that process works on Friday. If you can't be on the live, you can always catch the replay. No problem. but it is set, like I said, 8 across and 10 down, and where you see where it's not even here, that gets trimmed even on both sides. And then you have an inner border and an outer border that is added to that. And I can tell you that you will need, for your inner borders, you only need 1/3 of a yard of fabric, and with all the different strips that are going to be in here, I'm sure you will have no problem finding 1/3 of a yard of fabric that is going to coordinate for your inner border. And then for your outer border, you will need a yard of fabric, which, if you're like me, and this is only part of it, you won't have any problem finding an outer border to go along with your scrappy tumbler strip quilt either. And binding is 1/2 of a yard. So that is one really quick way to use up the My Fabric Addiction 1 scrappy strip packed by the pound. I won't say the cost on that because I'm not sure whether it has changed or not. So you can just go on her Etsy site, which the link will be in the description box, and you will be able to find that information and check out everything that she has to offer there. Some awesome great ones, which just to show another example, which this one does not have the inner border, it just has an outer border. So there's all kinds of possibilities to do with this quilt. Doesn't always only have to be out of kids fabrics. It makes a wonderful quilt for an older child or an adult also. And this is Bar Harbor Fabrics from a while back. But there you have it. And some of the tips that also for while you are making those is, because you are working with this tumbler and you have to cut 2 sides, which it fits perfectly on your, let me hold it up to one of the squares here. It will fit, if I can get it straight, it will fit like that on your 5-inch square or your charm square, whichever you are using, and then you trim that side and that side, which if you have one of the rotating, any type of the rotating rotary mats, that is really going to come in handy for cutting those templates so that you don't have to try and turn or twist your arm around. That's not safe. So if you have that, that is a really great thing to use when making these quilts. But you can make them very quickly, and in the way that you put these strip sets together, you can just make up a bunch of them, put them in a container, and you can randomly pick from all the tumbler blocks that you pull out of that and just spend one day whipping up some really nice, unique, and different charity quilts to give and donate. So I hope this has inspired some of you and shown a really neat and fun way to make a quilt, whether it be for charity or not. I just do a lot for charity, so this is one that I do for charity. And again, the link for My Fabric Addiction 1, her Etsy shop, will be in the description box below. Join me on Friday during my live when I will be actually piecing and doing more, showing a better demonstration of how this quilt is put together. And if you are interested in my Facebook group, the link for that is also always included in the description box below, where we share everything that goes on my channel, other things, and just have a great fun time. So, thank you everyone. I hope that you have a great day, and remember, in the meantime, I can keep you in stitches. Bye-bye everyone.